think about the question, I'm repeating this portion again, cis-trans test for allelism. So what is the question? The question is whether the mutations are allelic. What does the word allelic mean here? It means here that whether the mutations belong to the same gene. We have done multiple alleles, and what we saw? One gene can have multiple alleles. That is, there may be multiple phenotypic expressions of the same gene. We studied mallard duck, we studied restricted duck, we studied dusky type. So those were three different expressions of the same gene that dealt with the feather pattern of ducks. Okay. So when we think about the question of allelism, it is questioning us whether the mutants which we are seeing, the mutants which are available to us, are these mutations alleles of a gene? That is, whether the mutations are belonging to the same gene or whether the mutations are of different gene. So in another way, we can say that there are two mutants we are seeing. Drosophila, you have seen Drosophila, that's a very small fly, and if you keep banana on a table, you will see this Drosophilas coming and hovering over the banana. Okay, so we get two different eye color of Drosophila, and now we wonder that one is a white color and one is an apricot color. It's not exactly red, but it's an apricot color. Do these two colors belong to the same eye color gene, or whether the two colors are governed by two different genes? So that is the question. So when we are getting two different set of mutants, the question is that whether the two mutants, whether the characters which has resulted in these two mutants are alternative form of the same gene or are characters governed by two different genes. So that is what the question of allelism asks. This concept was actually first devised by the Drosophila genetist Edward B. Lewis when he used to screen any number of individual mutations that result in the same phenotype. In fact, when he did the work, such an analysis revealed that only a single gene is involved or that two or more genes are involved. So he wanted to study that the mutations involve a single gene or the mutations involve a different gene. All the mutations determined to be present in any single gene are said to fall into the same complementation group, and they will complement mutations in all other groups. So what do we mean by that? We'll come to that again. Let me walk you through the example. So as I said, what does allelism questions? That whether the mutants, whether the characters of the mutants governed by a single gene or whether the characters of the mutants governed by two different genes. So two different cases have been shown here. This is case 1. Let us assume that there are two mutants. One mutant is MA category and the other mutant is MB category. Okay. As you can see, the two mutants are devoid of wings. This is the wildcat having wings. So both the mutants are devoid of wings. Okay. Now, now let us assume that, hypothetically, let us hypothesize that the two mutations are mutant phenotype as a result of mutations in two different genes. So one gene is gene 1, the other one is gene 2, for our example. And let us assume that the mutant MA belongs to gene 1 and the mutant MB belongs to gene 2. Okay. So as you can see, so we have taken a homozygous mutant. Mind it, why did we take a homozygous one? What would have happened if we had taken a wild type? This is a mutant. Mutant are always recessive. So when we get a mutant fly, we have to assume that it is in a homozygous state. So in gene 1, we are having the double copy of the mutant allele. Okay. And in gene 2, we are having a double copy of the mutant allele. When the two flies are crossed, these two flies are mutant, as you can see phenotypically. When the two flies are crossed, what did Edward Lewis observe? He observed that we got a wild type fly. He never knew all these intricacies then. So what did he observe? You cross a mutant with another mutant, you are getting a wild type. You cross a mutant with another mutant, you do not get a wild type. So that was what he observed. At the genetic level, what is happening? When you cross one mutant with another mutant, we get a wild type. How is this possible? This has been shown here. So this is one parent, and we get one chromosome from one parent. So this is the chromosome from this parent, and this is the other parent. We get the other chromosome from the other parent. In one parent, gene 1 is mutated. In the other parent, gene 2 is mutated. Okay. So we have, in this particular F1 fly, we have a wild type copy of gene 1 and we have a wild type copy of gene 2. So the wild type copy of gene 1 is complementing with the wild type copy of gene 2, and since we are getting a wild type copy of gene 1 and gene 2, we are getting a wild type fly because the wild forms are completely dominant over the mutant ones. The wild type allele is totally dominant over MA and the wild type allele is totally dominant over MB, and hence these two wild types are complementing each other to give us a wild type fly. So we have to keep in mind, so the logical this is the genotypic this is the genetical explanation of what is happening, but the logic behind it is, if two mutants crossed and we get a wild type, we have to assume that the two mutations belong to two different genes. They are not alleles. Now let's come to this case. These are again two mutants, and let us assume that these two mutants, this is a mutant for result of MA and this is a mutant for result of MB, and MA and MB are belonging to two genes. So gene 1 has a MA mutation, gene 1 again has a MA mutation but at a different point. So the positions are different. Okay. Now when we cross these two mutant fly, we get one chromosome from here, as you can see. We get another chromosome from this fly, as you can see. In this case, we do not have a wild type copy of gene 1. There is no wild type copy of gene 1. Gene 1 is defective. And since gene 1 is totally defective, hence we get a mutant fly. We do not get the wild type product. So the logical conclusion is, if we cross two mutant fly and we get a mutant fly, that means the two mutations under consideration are alleles of the same gene. Now, so how can they be used for different experimental purpose? See, this is a Drosophila. So these are different, you see, eye mutations, eye color mutations, as you can see. Now there are three categories of mutants: Cinnabar, Cinnabar 2, Scarlet. These are mutants. Scarlet is one mutant having a eye color morphological feature almost very similar to this one. Cinnabar is also eye color mutant, all very similar to the phenotypic expression of phenotypically very similar to this category, and Cinnabar, only Cinnabar is also an eye color mutant, and this is a wild type fly. Okay, now the point is that how do we realize that the Cinnabar mutant, the Cinnabar 2 mutant and the Scarlet mutant are alleles of the same gene that controls the eye color in Drosophila. The normal eye color is brick red. and we are getting 3 different kinds of mutations in the eye color. So how do we identify that these mutations are nothing but mutants of this wild type variety, that is, they belong to the same gene or they are alleles of the same eye color gene? So what we do, that was the logic that was proposed by Edward Lewis. Logic is cross the 2 mutants. If you get a wild type, the 2 mutants belong to 2 different genes. Cross the 2 mutants. If you do not get a wild type, you have to assume that they belong to the same gene. They are nothing but alleles of the same gene. Just applying that logic, cinnabar and scarlet, we get a wild type. We crossed MB and MA and MB, we got a wild type. What was the deduction? The deduction was that the 2 mutations belong to 2 different genes. So when we crossed a cinnabar mutant with a scarlet mutant and we get a wild type color, eye color, we have to consider the fact that cinnabar and scarlet are mutations in different genes. Again, we cross cinnabar 2 with cinnabar. So this is cinnabar 2 with cinnabar, we get a mutant. So see, when you cross MA with MB in this case, and we got a mutant fly, what was a deduction? That the mutations belong to the same gene, or they are the alleles of the same gene. That was our deduction, isn't it? So if that was the deduction, here also, when we cross cinnabar with cinnabar, we get a mutant, we can deduce that cinnabar and cinnabar 2 are alleles of the same gene. They are nothing but mutations present at different locus in the same gene. Finally, when we cross cinnabar 2 with scarlet, again we get a wild type. So we can say that cinnabar and scarlet are mutations in different genes. So from these 3 cases, we can see that cinnabar and cinnabar 2 are alleles of the same gene. Scarlet mutation belongs to a different gene. So cinnabar and cinnabar 2 belongs to a complementation group. That is, they fall in the same gene. They are alleles of the same gene. Scarlet is a mutation that belongs to a different gene. So scarlet is not an allele of cinnabar or cinnabar 2. Now coming to another 2 concepts which I will give you today, isoallele and pseudoallele. Now the concept of isoallele developed from the data of Drosophila itself. In case of Drosophila, white eye color, it has been observed that there are a number, as you can see in this picture, there are a number of varieties of white eye color. So if you can see from this picture, this total, you can see this is white, this is the white range, this is the colored range. So this is a range basically which appears as non-wild type. The wild type color for Drosophila is, as I told you, red. So this is the wild eye type color. Now, and this, as you can see, these are not wild eye type color. So we have white color, we have white apricot color, that is light buff color. Have you any idea what is a buff color is? Buff color is the color of very light tea. When you give tea with milk, milk tea which is very light, that is basically buff color. Then we have white blood. Where is this white blood? Right, this is white blood. This is the color of yellowish ruby. Then there is white eosine. Where is white eosine? Yes, white eosine. This is a color of yellowish pink. Then white satsuma. I love this name very much, white satsuma. This is the color of a deep ruby, not the characteristic red, but deep ruby, white tinged. That is, where is this tinged one? Yeah, this is the color of light pink. So as you can see that the wild type color is red, and these all are different varieties of the wild type color. So it is observed that the white locus, actually the normal, in case of the normal allele, the eye color is brick red. This is the normal eye color. It is now clear, it has been studied, and now it has been observed that the product of the white locus, that the white locus is a mutant locus, is a protein that is involved in transporting pigments into the ommatidia. I think we have studied arthropods, and you know Drosophila is an insect, and arthropods have compound eyes, and the units of the compound eyes are known as ommatidium. That's a singular, plural, ommatidia. So the compound eye is nothing but many ommatidiums combined together to form a larger structure known as the compound eye. Now, what is the function of this white locus? The function of this white locus is that it codes for a protein that is involved in transporting pigments into the ommatidia comprising the compound eye. Okay, so it produces a protein that results in transporting the pigment and depositing them into the ommatidium of the eye. When flies are white, that is, they are with the white mutation, the eye pigment can be synthesized normally because that is governed by a different gene. But since white is a mutation of the normal allele, white locus has been named after the mutant. So it is a mutation of the normal allele. They cannot, and that protein is not made which helps in transporting of the pigment. So all these mutants, what happens, depending on the severity of the mutation, they cannot transport these pigments into the structural units of the eye. So since the pigments cannot be transferred into the structural units of the eye, we do not get that beautiful brick red color of the eye. We get different variants of that red eye color depending on how much pigment has been deposited into the individual ommatidium of the compound eye. So this is the amount of pigment that has been deposited. As you can see, there are some figures written. You can see the range of the wild type starts, that is the brick red color starts with a pigment deposition of about 0.6854. Okay, and the range at which we get the white, we still get the white phenotype is 0.1636. So to have a brick red coloration, we need to have this much amount of pigment deposited, as you can see, and for a white eye type pattern, the range of pigmentation is 0.0442 to 0.1636. Now coming to the concept of isoallele, because I started talking on this because I wanted to explain to you all what is isoallele. See, as I said, genotypes appearing as wild type. So, genotypes having this beautiful brick red color. This is one genotype, Stellenbosch wild type with a pigment deposition of 0.6854, brick red color. Look at this one, Canton S wild type, pigment deposition 0.9895, beautiful brick red color. We have Graf Reinet wild type, pigment deposition of 1.2548. Again a beautiful brick red color. Phenotypically, you will not be able to isolate these three flies by seeing their red eye color. Phenotypically, you will not be able to isolate these three alleles, flies, as I again said, by seeing their red eye color, because phenotypically they are red. As I said, wild type means brick red. So this is also brick red. This is also brick red, the one I told about, Canton. This is also brick red. Graph-rennet, this is also brick red. Even though the quantity of pigment has varied, but phenotypically they appear as red and are not ordinarily distinguishable. As a result, alleles of this kind, which act within the same phenotypic range of each other, phenotypically they are acting within the same range, have been termed as isoalleles. So this is the concept. So today we'll end with this topic today, pseudoallele. Now pseudoalleles are different expressions of the same character. They are functionally related. Let me tell you certain properties of pseudoallele first. They exhibit low frequency of genetic recombination by crossing over. So in other words, we can say that they tend to move together. And one interesting example of pseudoallele that I will be discussing with you all today is the lozenge eye color in Drosophila. Now, Green and Green in 1949 studied this lozenge locus in Drosophila. The mutant gene produced eyes with glossy, smooth surface. It just looks like a glass. Several alleles of lozenge genes were identified and mapped. All heterozygotes carrying two different mutants were lozenges in phenotype. Now we have to keep in mind about the lozenge locus is that this is the lozenge locus, as you can see, and you can again see that there are some numberings and some things written here. So these are the varieties of the lozenge alleles. Now look at the position of the genes. This is important here. One chromosome is having all the wild type genes. The other chromosome is having two mutant allele and two wild type allele. In this case you see one chromosome is having the wild type allele, the other is having the two mutant allele in two different locations. Third case, one chromosome is having all the wild type allele while the other chromosome is having two mutant alleles, again in two different positions. You see the positions are changing. So the position of L46 is here, the position of lozenge BS is here, the position of lozenge G is here. And this is the fourth case, that is we are getting a wild type allele and we are getting two mutant phenotype, two mutant alleles of the wild type 1. So as you can see, in this case the lozenge allele are in cis position. When the cross is done, in this case when the heterozygotes are in cis position and the cross is done, it is observed that wild type flies are obtained. This is a peculiar phenomena. So this is a cis-trans combination. In case of cis position, we are getting wild type flies because the mutant alleles are in cis position, we get wild type flies. This is a cis position heterozygote. But when the mutant lozenge flies were studied, it was observed that all the mutants exhibited a trans heterozygote phenomena. That is, the mutant alleles were in different chromosomes. You can see the example. The mutant alleles were in different chromosomes. So this is the trans phenomena. I was saying you this one while talking about the complementation, that the mutants are located in the same allele, the wild type located in the same allele. So this is the cis configuration. With respect to the cis configuration, just compare the picture. This is the trans configuration. Concentrate on these two allele. LZ, lozenge BS, lozenge R. Same chromosome. Cis configuration. The phenotype is wild type. Lozenge BS, lozenge R. Transposition, two different chromosomes. This is a mutant phenotype. Okay. So it was seen that recombination closely linked genes. So as a result of the recombination, these genes became closely linked, and in cis position when they tend to be inherited, we get wild type flies. But when the gene are being inherited in transposition, we get mutant flies. So it was envisaged by Lewis that this work started by Green, as I said, and the complex was the lozenge complex, and later on it was proposed that the gene has an assembly line consisting of a number of subloci. So if this is the lozenge gene, you can see there are 4 sublocus to it, and each sublocus is responsible for a necessary step in the synthesis of the overall product. Mutations within the same gene on both homologous chromosome, mutations in the same gene. So it is the same gene, but there is a mutation in the sublocal region. So mutations within the same gene locus on both homologous chromosome. Even when recombination is possible between the alleles, prevent either chromosome from producing a normal product. So this was a cis-trans effect shown by this lozenge allele, which is a part of your syllabus. And as I said, for your concept, keep this in mind, that when the alleles are present, when the mutant alleles in the sublocus are present in a cis position, they do not produce a mutant phenotype. They give wild type products. When the mutant alleles are present in different sublocus in the transposition, they give mutant phenotype, and that is the concept of this cis position, transposition, heterozygote, and that is the concept of the lozenge allele.